Hi, this is Steve Downs. I want to thank you for joining us on our video this morning. We're very honored to have with us attorney Bruce Ishimatsu. And Bruce and I have just met for the first time this morning. What a great coincidence, Bruce, that we met, because you do a kind of law that I think a lot of our employee viewers are going to be very interested in. Why don't you tell the audience what it is that you do?
Okay, thanks, Steve. I've been practicing commercial litigation for a long time. In the course of that, I've handled a number of employment law disputes for usually on the management side. In the past couple of years, I've been transitioning that experience into the workplace investigation work that I do. I've gone through the certification process with the Association of Workplace Investigators. And so it is one way for me to not be an advocate, but be an investigator of facts regarding workplace/employment claims that arise in both government agencies and private businesses.
So let's say, Bruce, may I call you Bruce?
Sure.
I'll be Steve.
Sure.
I'm an employee who has suddenly gotten a notice to appear before you, a workplace investigator, because I believe that some charges have been filed against me that are really trumped up, and it's really retaliation for me complaining about some fraudulent billing to the U.S. government.
Okay.
And so you're now investigating. You've been asked to investigate it. Let's start at the beginning. Are you routinely hired by the company?
Yes, I'm retained by the employer. Typically, it comes out of a claim by an employee against the company or another employee about some violation, some discrimination, something that happened. They file basically an HR claim, and then that bubbles up to the point where the employer decides we need to hire an outside investigator to examine the facts.
And I suppose, and the audience will correct me if I'm wrong, most of those cases, or at least a large percentage, come from the world of sexual harassment allegations.
There's quite a bit of it, and it's increased with the Me Too movement as well.
What would you say the percentage of workplace investigations are that pertain to issues of discrimination or sexual harassment?
I would say over 50% now.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
right.
How long would a workplace investigation normally take from your hire to the concluding report back to the company?
I would say no less than 60 days and probably 6 months.
And how many times should I, as an employee, be expected to be contacted by you during that investigation?
Once or twice.
Okay.
Certainly once, maybe follow up
And,
for an interview. Yeah.
and do I have to sign a written statement?
You do not, but typically I like to audio record the interviews so that I can then look back and make a report based on the facts obtained from the complainant and from other witnesses in the workplace.
And is that audio report something that is done only with the consent of the employee?
Yes, yes.
And how often is it, if ever, that an attorney is actually in the interview process with the employee at that early stage?
It happens less than you would think. Many times when you're interviewing a complainant, they're happy to tell their story. And if they understand and appreciate that this is a neutral investigation, even though I'm being hired by the employer, I'm there to develop facts. And so hopefully that puts them at ease. But sometimes they bring in their lawyer.
And what primarily should an employee worry about? In other words, or what do they worry about? Does somebody ever say, for example, well, I actually did tell someone else about it, but I'd prefer to keep them out of the picture. They don't work here. What do you do in that case?
Well, you can't force people to identify others who may have knowledge of the incident. You can just encourage them that the more information you have, the better the quality of the investigation.
And am I entitled to a copy of the report as an employee?
Generally, no. Generally, no.
And that would be to protect the privacy of third parties?
Right, because you're going to interview other people third parties that may have knowledge.
Right. And do you make recommendations to management, or simply, as the FBI likes to say, conduct investigations?
It's more like the old FBI line. The role of the investigator is to be neutral, to investigate the facts, and then make a determination based on a preponderance of the evidence and report back to the employer whether the claim is viable or more likely or not to have viability. And then whatever happens after that, the remedy or the action taken, is up to the employer.
Are you ever called back to determine whether or not, for example, some problem has actually been resolved by the employee and the employer? Or is your investigation limited just to the time frame in which you submit the report?
Almost, in my entire experience has been just up to the time I submit the report. I've never been called back to examine anything after that.
And then finally, Bruce, what recommendation would you give to our viewers as to the best way to participate, to have the best impact for their case as possible within your process?
Right. If you're an attorney and you represent a company and they have a claim submitted by an employee, current or former, I encourage you to contact and retain an outside investigator to examine the facts. A lot of times the lawyers advising the companies will have what I think is a conflict of interest. If they're advising the client on employment matters, they really shouldn't be doing the investigation. Sometimes it's done internally by HR departments, but I think it's better for everybody if there's an outside and independent investigator. And if you hire somebody to do that, you, the employer, need to be hands-off. You can suggest that these are the people you should interview, but you can't really, or shouldn't, be orchestrating how the investigation takes place.
And so if the employee comes in, you expect them to have what attitude? What would you tell them? At the first meeting?
That's a good question, Steve, because a lot of what we've been trained to do is to put the witness, particularly the claimant, at ease, because they're going to be very nervous. You know, who's this person coming in and interviewing
Sure.
me? And there's a lot of kind of psychology involved in trying to explain to them what this process is, so that they understand they're not being prosecuted or persecuted by the company, that you have no angle here other than to investigate the facts.
Great. Well, the final question is very personal. Where would folks find you if they need a workplace investigator?
Well,
from the management side.
Thank you. They can contact me through my website at www.ishimatsulaw.com.
One of the prettiest business cards, by the way, I've seen in a
Look at
long
this guy.
time. This guy is the gold standard, folks.
I hope. So that's the best way to contact me.
Excellent. And I understand through the magic of video, this will finally end up with some contact information.
Terrific. Thank you.
And representing employees statewide, we certainly appreciate that our employees have a chance to have fair and neutral investigations.
Right. That's the point.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Steve. Appreciate it.